Welcome back to today's episode. We'll be speaking about recurrent expenditures in the farm and the cost of production per bird. That means the life cycle of the bird, what you need to invest from day 1 to day 35, and then we'll be talking about harvesting and sales in the market. So let's dive straight into it. Now, there are two forms of production. Number one, we have the contract growing schemes, whereby you have companies that will contract you to grow for them chicken, and at maturity, they assure you of the market and will come to collect the birds from your farm when they're live, and they'll be taken to the process plants for slaughter. Now, the other one is the outgrower. The outgrower scheme is normally where a farmer will buy day-old chicks from the market or from the agro or from his distributor, and then they will raise the birds to maturity and they will take to the market and sell at whatever prevailing price is there, or they will take straight to institutions, to hotels, or any other place that demands their product. Now, I'm not going to talk much about the contract growing because every company has its own contractual growing schemes and policies. So let's dive straight into the outgrower. Now, in the outgrower period, in the outgrower scheme, we are talking about raising the bird from day 1 to maturity. Now, you have a production house. So what do you need to produce the birds in that production house? Number one, you need wood shavings, you need curtains, you need feeds, and you actually need the day-old chick. So assuming we have the house and we have the floor ready with the wood shavings, the house has been cleaned up, it has had enough rest, it has its wood shavings, and this is a topic that we'll discuss when we're doing production. It has everything that it entails to produce the bird or for the bird to grow. That means it also has equipment and other variables. So let's go straight into the cost of production. And now we will base this on a 35-day cycle because normally we take the bird to the market when they reach maturity from day 35 to day 42. But let's just talk about day 35 because that's where the bird is able to convert at its optimal level. So here in our country, day-old chicks are sold by various breeders, and every breeder has his own pricing in the market. But normally, the price in the market varies between or ranges between 90 to 100 shillings per day-old chick. So let's take the middle figure, that is 95. That means you buy a day-old chick at 95 shillings and you grow it for 35 days. Within these production days or this growing phase, you will be able to introduce to the bird two types of feeds. We have a two-phase diet in the market and we have a three-phase diet in the market. The two-phase diet simply means the bird will take the starters from day 1 to about day 18 or 21. And then from day 18 to 20 or 21 up to its maturity, that's day 35, the bird will actually eat finisher pellets or finisher mash. But in this case, we will deal with finisher pellets because that's the ones that have the best conversion. Now, on the three-phase diet, we introduce the birds to a starter crumb from day 1 to day 10 or 11, and then we go to a grower pellet from day 11 to about day 22 or 23, and then we go to the finisher pellets from day 23 to maturity, that's day 35 or above. But let's talk more about the two-phase diets because that's the most popular diet in the industry, and that's the easiest one to work with. Now, from day 1 to day 18, the chick will desire to eat at least 1 kilo of that particular kind of feed. Now, that's called the starter crumb or the starter crumble. The size of the crumble is between 2 to 3 millimeters. That means it's easy for the bird to eat and ingest it, and it's easy for that kind of feed to go through the digestive gut. Now, it's also easy for the bird to convert because it's actually a feed that is already pre-cooked. Now, when in the market, in our local market here in Kenya, now the price of a 50 kg bags on average is about 4,300. Now we have different companies or different millers producing the same kind of diet, but with different prices. But let's use the middle figure of 4,300 on a 50 kg bag. Here we produce feeds on 50 kg bags, not 70. So if we take 4,300 divided by 50, the cost of each kilo is about 86 shillings. And we said the bird will consume at least 1 kilo. So from day 1 to day 18, we can actually assume the bird has eaten to a value of 86 shillings because that's 1 kg. Now, between day 18 and day 21, you will introduce the finisher pellet to the bird, but you will not introduce it all at once. You will mix it with the starter crumb so that it is a gradual introduction. The size of the pellet is slightly bigger. It's between 4 to 5 millimeter, and it's on a starch diet. So basically, you cannot just switch off or switch to the diet directly. So you need to have a gradual introduction of that feed to the chicken. Now, at this age, the broiler chicken or the broiler chick will be about 900 to 950 or even a kilo. If the birds are under good management and they are converting the feeds well, then between day 1 to day 7, you're looking at body weights of about, at day 7, you're looking at a body weight of about 4.5 or 5 times its original body weight. So if the bird came to your farm with about 40 grams, you're looking at about 180 to 200 grams on day 7. Now on day 14, you're also looking at maybe 11 times its original body weight to 12 or 13 times its original body weight. So again, you're looking at birds which are about 480 to 500 grams. On day 21, you're also looking at about 23 or 24 times its original body weight. That means the bird will be about a kilo, 950 to a kilo. Now, if you have an average of that in your farm, then the birds are actually doing well. It means you adhered to the brooding practices that are laid down for the birds to be able to develop the vital organs early enough so that they can be able to convert the starch feeds without any stress. So now we are on day 18 to 21, and we are introducing the finisher feed to the bird. Now, between day 21 or day 18 to 35, which is our maturity, the bird will actually consume 2.3 kg of the finisher pellet, irrespective of any company. Now, we are doing this based on the standard that's there in the market, whether it's a COP standard or any other market standard. Meaning, from day 18 to day 35, we are looking at a production of we're looking at the bird eating or consuming 2.3 kg. And the average market price of the pellet, bag of 50 kg is about 3,900. So if you divide 3,900 by 50, then we will get about 78 shillings per kg. And the bird is actually consuming 2.3 kg. So if you multiply 2.3 kg by 78, you're going to get a figure of 179. And let's round it off, 179.4. So to ease in this practice, let's just round it off to 180. So our costs from day 1 to day 35 on feeds alone will be 266 Kenyan shillings. And we purchased the day-old chick at 95 shillings. So 95 plus 266 is a total of 361. Now that's the cost of feeds and the day-old chick when the bird is mature. But we know in the farm we have other overheads. We have staff, we have brooding costs, heating, we have vitamins that we give to the birds when they need it. We've got vaccines that we purchase. We also have expenditures on feed delivery or any other expenditure based on the feed. We are assuming that water and electricity is also an expenditure in the farm and it has to be paid for. And we also have other miscellaneous within the farm. So the brooding costs may form the bulk of the costs in the farm overheads. That means if you're brooding a day-old chick from day 1 to day 18 or day 21, you're looking at spending about 7 to 10 shillings per bird. That's again using probably a good heating system, like a gas equipment, like a gas brooder or a gas heater. If you're using probably a Jetmaster or a space heater, which uses diesel, and you're keeping more birds, that cost may be slightly lower than this. If you're using charcoal, that cost may actually be higher than this. But let's take the middle figure of 8. Labor is also a cost because you are investing on your staff so that they can look after your birds. So at the end of the month, you have to pay them. Now, the 7 shilling is based on a 2-month cycle because you're producing the bird for 2 months. The 5 weeks of 6 weeks growing period, and you have the 3 or 2 weeks clean down period. So based on this, you will be able to pay your worker twice, but at an average of about 3.5 to 4 shillings per bird every month. So the whole production cycle ends up to be about 7 shillings per bird. We have vaccines. If your birds are not pre-vaccinated, then you have to do a booster or a field vaccination. Now, that will come with additional costs. If your birds are pre-vaccinated, it is an added advantage because you're only doing a booster vaccine. However, if your birds are not pre-vaccinated, again, you're looking at vaccinating the birds at least 3 times. You may vaccinate a starter Newcastle on around day 5 to day 7. You may also vaccinate Gumboro around day 12 or day 14, and also a repeat of the Newcastle with IB around day 21. So the cost of that will come to about 3 shillings per bird. Now, the cost of vitamins and disinfectants that we use in the farm, when we introduce birds to the farm, it's really important that we give them a bit of vitamins so that we can be able to manage the stress and also activate metabolism. And again, after every vaccine or during periods where you feel the birds are really stressed, maybe it's too warm or there was a bit of noise or anything that could stress the birds, that's the time we really need to take care of them and maybe give a day or 2 of vitamins. Now, disinfectants are stuff that we use to manage disease or to control diseases. So we have that foot dip at the entry point of the chicken house or at the entry point of the farm. Vehicles are going to be disinfected, like you saw in our previous video. You have food dips all along the farm, and at that point, you're going to use different disinfectants every time. And it is actually really important that you do not use a single disinfectant for the 35 growing periods. It is important that you kind of keep on changing so that you can be able to manage diseases. The other thing is feed transport. Some of our farmers may not be lucky to have their feeds transported direct to the farms by distributors. So they will get them from the agros and transport them themselves. That is an additional cost to the farm. So we peg that at about 3 shillings per bird. We also have miscellaneous. The other overheads that are going to be spent in the farm that have not been taken care of in the beginning. And along the growing period, you find that you're using some coins here, you're using some shillings here, you're using some money here. So That again is also an expenditure to the farm. And all these are going to be added to the cost of production. So in my calculations, I have actually pegged that at about 27 shillings per bird. And this is based on about a production of about 3,000 to 5,000 birds, because labor, a single labor staff could look after about 3,000 to 5,000 birds. So if you're doing more birds, you have an added advantage, because most of these are things that you can, leverage on economies of scale. If you're doing less than that, maybe your cost may be slightly higher by a shilling or two. But the middle figure is about 25 to 27. So if we add this to our feed and day-old chick costs, we come up with a figure of about 388 Kenya shillings. So we can say for the production of a day-old chick from day 1 to day 35, each chick will use about 388 to be in the farm. After day 35, if you're looking at growing birds that are going to be bigger, maybe you have a market where you want bigger birds for deboning and cut-ups, then you're looking at spending more on feeds. And between day 35 to day 42, which is almost the latest date that you can kill your bird or slaughter your bird, then you're looking at investing another maybe 110 shillings. That's about 1.3 kilos or 1.4 kilos for the bird. So if you invest 388 shillings per bird on a recurrent expenditure 6 times a year, then we need to find out how much are you going to get, what are your returns, what are your expectations, because you're investing this so that you can get some returns. I mean, this is business. So let's dive straight into what we can leverage on in terms of returns. But everything in the farm is based on a factor called the feed conversion ratio, which I will discuss in our next episode, because that's the greatest parameter, and that is what you need to look out for when you're growing the birds. How much feed are you giving your birds versus what is the body weight of the bird at the end of the cycle, so that you can actually understand your production, management, practices, are they in line with the feed that you're giving your bird? Thank you.